Hello children, here I come up with another chapter. Jai Gurudev, it's Mughal Empire. It's chapter 4, Mughal Empire. We have seen already in the previous chapter about Delhi Sultans. After the declination of Delhi Sultans, that is, as you know, Delhi Sultans were declined. At the end of the chapter, we have seen Mongols were started invading our country, and next will be exactly the Mughals. Okay, who were all Mughals? Where they came from? The first question is, they were the descendants of two great lineages of rulers, two great rulers from outside India. Mother side is Ganesh Khan. Okay, they were Mongols, and father side it is Timur. Timur means is nothing but it's a dynasty. From there they came from. Okay, so Timur means it's nothing but modern Turkey. Now we used to say, the ruler of Iran, Iraq, and Turkey. That is called as Timur dynasty. And Genghis Khan, a Mongol ruler who ruled over the parts of China and Central Asia. So they were the descendants of these two major rulers. Okay, so Mughals did not like to say that they belongs to Mongols, because they were the enemy of Mughals, as Genghis Khan's memory was associated with the massacre of innumerable people. So massacre means, as you know, the death of the political party will be called as massacre, and so a number of people were died. They were like simply very tough rulers. So they were the competitors of Mughals. So they won't say that the Mughals were belongs to Genghis Khan's descendant. They will like to say that they are belongs to Timurid ancestry, that is Timur, which is they belongs to Iraq, Iran, and modern Turkish rulers descendants. Okay, so the next is Mughal military campaigns. So how did Mughal started ruling our country? Who started it? The first is Babur. Okay, 1526 to 1530. He who captured Delhi at first. The next is Akbar. Who captured, he was once he was 13 years old, he was become an empire. Okay, he captured Chittoor, Ranthambore, Gujarat, Bihar, Bengal, and Kashmir. And next is Jahangir. When Jahangir took battle against Sikhs and Ahoms. Sikhs were the rulers and Ahoms were the rulers, tribal rulers. You will see about them in the next forthcoming chapters clearly. Now we are looking after only about Mughals. So just have a look about Mughals alone. And Shah Jahan, who captured Ahmednagar. Okay, and Deccan side also he has captured. And next is Aurangzeb. He took long fight against Deccan and tried to capture. And these are the Mughal emperors who survived in India as rulers, as Mughal emperors. So how did they succeed all this invasion, and how did they become very huge emperors? So they have two method of making their generations, they are the, which means the father son, okay, becoming as a ruler. They have two type of things. One is primogeniture and next is coercion. Primogeniture means nothing but the eldest son of the father will be will become the king of the place. And coercion means is nothing but the kingdom will be divided into all the sons of the king. That is coercion. But Mughals have followed the system of primogeniture, so they were ruled after Humayun, after Akbar, then Jahangir, Shah Jahan, and Aurangzeb. This is the hierarchy of Mughal emperors. And the next is How did they had relationship with other rulers? Okay, in India there were Rajputs, okay, and we had Marathas and all these rulers. How did they had relationship with them means they enrolled Mansabdas and Jahirs, helped them to extend their domains. When we speak about Mansabdas and Jahirs, last session we have seen in Delhi Sultans about how did they collected tax. It is similar to Muktas and Ikta and Iktadar. We used to say no, the landowner and the land. With the help of the landowner, they will collect taxes on land. Those people will be allotted as the zamindar of that particular village. From that people, they will be getting taxes to rule. The king will be getting taxes to rule their country. In the similar way, Mughals has named those people as Mansabdas. They were from they may be from other rulers, includes Iranians, Indian Muslims, Afghans, Rajputs, Marathas and other group of people. They can be work as Mansabdars under Mughals. Those people are working under Mughal service were called Mansabdars. Okay, they refer to an individual who has ranks or position in the Mughal Empire to do military services and getting paying salary and will be getting Jahirs. So Jahirs means it's nothing but the assignment given to Mansabdas for military campaigns and to manage the kingdom, or for managing the armies and soldiers and everything, and for collecting taxes. Those are called the assignments. That assignments are called as Jahirs. Okay, they will be getting their salary based on the assignment given to the Mansabdars. Okay, based on this only they also set zamindars. So zamindars are nothing but they were chieftains, that is headman of a village. He will be very rich and he may have land, he or she may have land, and they may be earning a lot from that, and they will be powerful chieftains. They were worked under Mughals to collect revenue, that is taxes from the people, and to be submitted to the Mughals as their taxes, so that they will be ruling the place in a very effective way. So that is given here. Jahirs are nothing but they receive their salaries based on the assignments, and their salaries will also named as in numerical value called ZAT, AZAT. And the next is Akbar policies. Among all Mughal empires, Akbar was somehow he is unique based on his policies during his reign. What was his policies which made him as a unique ruler among Mughal emperors means, first one is universal peace. Okay, so he just analyzed all the religions and he came to a conclusion that there shouldn't be any religious discrimination in his reign, that is during his ruling time. There shouldn't be any religious discrimination, that you are Hindu, you are Muslim, Christian, like this, you are Sikh, you are Marathas, like that. There shouldn't be any the religious discrimination during his reign. He was very strict on it. And also he has discussed with many religious head and discussed about dogmas and boycotts of that particular religion, which means dogma means the special ritual will be followed. For example, Diwali should be celebrated in such a way, Ramzan should be celebrated in a such a way, and Christmas should be celebrated in such a way. This rules has been done by the religious scholars of each and every religion. Those are called as dogma. Boycotts means nothing but if you are not accepting, for example, if you are not accepting other religious rituals, that what else they are following, if you are not accepting other religious faith means, that is called as boycotts. So Akbar was very strict in this. He didn't allow other people or any other people to boycott other religious in case of their religion. So he took three things in his hand. One is honesty, and other is justice and peace. All these three things should be there. This is called as one religion. Our religion means they should follow all these things. That is universally applicable in all the religions, isn't it? So he took these three things in his hand for ruling. So this is called Shil Aikul, which means universal peace. So these laws of Akbar made him as a universal ruler, that is unique ruler in the Mughal Empire of India. So this was written in Akbarnama, which was written by Abul Fazl about the works of Akbar. Like this he has done very good things, and also he had very good relationship between the rulers around him, like Rajputs and everyone. And the next is after Akbar's reign, that is during 17th century. Okay, what happened, and after 17th century what happens? So all these things were came under, as I told you already, the many places were captured by Mughal rulers, but still after this they had around 5 years of their reign. And later on during 17th century what was happened, no, many of the places were divided into groups. They had different provinces. Provinces mean they were divided into state. After 17th century they were divided into state, and they were not under even a monarchy way. Okay, they started dividing the monarchy reign into different state, and each state will be having will be called as provinces, and they will be having separate headman for that, so that the Mughal empire started breaking, that is declining right from the 17th century, which will be learning at the end of this history book, that is 18th century. There the decline, how the Mughal empire they were declined means they were put down, and how the division of states was made. So this Mansabdars, how did they divided means this Mansabdars and Zamindars, they have taken out a few places. They thought that why I wanted to be under the control of king, I have all the powers and I am rich, why I should be under the control of the king? So I wanted to free the state from Mughal control. So like that the Zamindars and Mansabdars started thinking, and they brought out their state out of the Mughals control. This is how the Mughal empire was declined at the end after the 17th century, and they were declined. Then only French Revolution and British people were entered into India. This is where the short test form to explain about Mughal empire, my dears. Thank you for the session, and this is what I supposed to explain. Stay safe and healthy. Take care. Thank you.